There are three things that I would do differently today if I had to start my business over years ago. Hello and welcome to the How To Podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, one of the co-founders of Barbaro 360 and of Jake and Gino. And that's what we're going to be discussing on today's show. What would I have done differently if I was starting a business today versus what I did wrong years ago? And let me preface it by saying, I don't know if I did anything incorrect or wrong. There's just a lot of learning lessons that I had taken. I think for me, the most positive one was that I just started. Most people out there, they want to start a business. They never get the courage, or they have excuses, or they have limiting beliefs or behaviors that prohibit them from starting or from taking that step. I didn't have that problem. I already had great mentors in my parents. My parents were both immigrants from Italy that came to this country with a few bucks in their pockets, literally, and they both couldn't speak the language. They both learned how to speak the language. And my father, with being in here within 15 years, was able to open up his restaurant. For me, I saw that. So I had no excuse. I went through college. I didn't like working in a cubicle. I worked downtown on 99 John Street for AIG back, a little scared to say the date, in 1992. And I worked there for a year, and I hated it. I just did not like working in the city. I didn't like working in corporate. I hated the cubicle. I was not a good employee. I knew that I had to be an employer. I had to be the boss. I couldn't be that employee. The first big mistake that I made was my mindset. I started a business, or I opened up my restaurant because it was all about me. I was trying to provide for my family, when in reality, what I should have been doing is I should have thought and started from the premise of providing for your customer. And then if you have employees, the employees should come second. Or if you want to put the employees first and the customers, whichever your model looks to do, put those entities first and then put yourself at the very end. I did the exact opposite. I got into business to make money for myself. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And really, I wouldn't call them entrepreneurs. I wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur early on. I would call myself more of a technician. Go back to Jake and Gino's podcast. Type in Michael Gerber. We interviewed Michael Gerber years ago. And he's got the entrepreneur and he's got the technician. I was acting as a technician back then. I had a skill. I could cook. I'm going to open a business. How many of you have friends and family members, or even people that possibly work for you? You have a plumber who's got a truck. He's driving around. He's self-employed. He's got a quote unquote business. Well, does he have a business or does he have a job? Nothing wrong with it. He's working for himself, but that's technically not a business. And it's the same thing with me. I opened up all bushy-eyed. I'm going to take over the world. Man, I'm going to make a ton of money. That was my first mistake. I wasn't really thinking about solving problems in the marketplace. I was just thinking of solving my problems. And you see the great companies out there. They have the picture. They paint it. They have the vision. Companies like Apple. They're not out there just quote unquote to make money for the company, although that's one of the driving forces. But I really think a lot of these entrepreneurs are out there to change the world, or out there to create a massive amount of value for their customers. And then if they really want to take it to the next level, they really focus on bringing value to their employees. They treat their employees really well. I don't know if you've ever heard of a company called Zappos. Zappos was incredible in doing this. They had one of the most amazing customer experiences. The company's founder, his name is Tony Hsieh. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he built this culture. He built this vision around this company where it wasn't about Tony. It was about really Zappos, and it was really about his customers. It was really about providing value in the marketplace. And I wish I had understood that. So I want you to listen to this because this is important. I want you, when you come up with an idea to open a business, think of these two things. Are you providing value in the marketplace? for a customer? And are you putting your customer's needs in front of your own needs? That's really important. If you can do that, those two, then business game on. And for me, I started learning this through that metamorphosis from the restaurant, then looking into real estate. I truly saw real estate as a way to start buying apartments, obviously making money for my family, but also making money and creating these apartments, these resident homes. We don't call them units, we call them apartment homes. We don't call them tenants, we call them residents. We're really trying to create value for the resident experience. Now, do we always get it right? Absolutely not. Are we trying to get better every single day? But that's what we're looking at. And when you're in the syndication space and in the real estate space, you're looking at a deal, man, this is so important to adopt. Definitely one of the most important things when you're syndicating and raising capital. You can't think about if the deal is only good for your side. You need to look first and foremost, is the deal make sense for your partners, for the limited partners on the deal? Or are you doing this deal just to create value for yourself, just to extract fees from the property? And you're looking at it on the back end of the deal. Well, you should not be looking at a syndication from that, because you are a financial steward. Same model, going into the real estate business. I needed to look at my investors when I syndicated deals. We did 3 syndications. So I know for a fact when we looked at those deals, it was a little bit different than placing your own capital. When we're looking at those deals, I already understood first and foremost that where my needs were at the very end. I needed to take care of the first and foremost, my investors who invested their capital with us, becoming the financial steward, then taking care of our employees who were managing the property, and taking care of the residents who were in those spaces. Now, I've gone a little long on the first one because I thought it was really important. The second one, I think, is just as important for me because of the learning curve. I wish when I started my restaurant that I had actually gone out and worked in the space with an entrepreneur. Now, unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, but it was a little bit unfortunate, I only had the experience of working with my father in his kitchen. I did go to culinary school, so I was in different kitchens, but what I should have done is I should have picked up my knife roll and I should have gone to work into different kitchens, get different experiences, see the way different kitchens were run, how the front of the house was run, how the back of the house was run, what kinds of systems, what kinds of solutions, processes did other businesses have. I just went in knowing what my father knew. And that really did not serve me long term. It just didn't. Short term, it was okay. I got in the business, I started working, I started making money for myself. But for long term, that did not help me out because I only knew how to do it, I only knew how to do it my way or my father's way. There's something my father said in Italian that has always stuck with me, and that's why I always got stuck in that business as the job. He said in Italian, "L'occhio del padrone ingrassa il cavallo." The eye of the owner fattens up the horse. Now, that may sound crazy to you, but it made total sense to me when I was running the restaurant. He basically said, "Hey, Gino, when you're here at the restaurant and you're keeping an eye on everything, everything runs real smooth. When you go away and the owner leaves, things tend to fall apart." As I said, in the short term, that may be a good way to run a business. But longer term, I'm going to explain to you why that is detrimental for the long-term success of your business. Let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsors, and I'm going to dive into number 3 because number 3 is just as crucial as the first 2.
If you're serious about multifamily investing, you need more than motivation. You need a proven framework. That's why Wheelbarrow Profits was created. Built by real operators who have acquired and managed hundreds of millions of dollars in apartments, Wheelbarrow Profits is centered around a simple but powerful system. Buy right, manage right, finance right. This isn't theory. It's real-world multifamily education designed to move you from analysis to paralysis to confident action. But what truly sets Wheelbarrow Profits apart is the community. You're not building this alone. You're surrounded by driven investors, mentors, accountability partners, people actively underwriting deals, raising capital, and closing deals. Because success in apartments isn't just about information, it's about implementation and proximity. Now, if you're ready to stop consuming and start owning, go to wheelbarrowprofits.com and join the community built to help you scale.
And we are back. Let me just recap the first two, and then it's going to just be such a nice little pivot into this third one. The first one is all about your mindset, making sure that you're setting up the business to provide value for the marketplace and for your customers. The second one is go out and actually get experience in the business that you're trying to build. If you're a plumber, go work for different plumbing companies. If you're a chef and you want to open up a business, go work at different restaurants. If you want to get into the multifamily space or into the real estate space, go work for possibly a developer or a self-storage operator or a multifamily company or a real estate brokerage. Get into their different companies, because then all of a sudden you'll start seeing the processes, the systems, the solutions that they're creating in their business. And from there, you can take it and help open up your own business. Now, the third one, this one only occurred to me several years ago, because I was always under the impression that you build a business and you hold it forever. You buy a multifamily property and you hold it forever. Now, you may, nothing wrong with that. But what I want you to do, and listen up, I want you to build a business to be able to exit that business at some point in time in the future, even if you don't want to exit that business. Now, Gino, why would you say that? It's very simple. At some point, you're going to create systems and processes to eliminate a lot of the work that you need to do as a beginning entrepreneur, so you can go on to higher and better tasks, and tasks that you love. Man, I wish I had done this with the restaurant. I probably would still be in the restaurant business with my fifth or sixth location and with a global brand. The reason why I'm not is because I didn't build any systems. I didn't build any processes. I had no way of having one system, very simple, picking up the phone, answering the phone. We didn't have a system for that. Now you may say, hey, that's simple. Answer the phone anyway. It's not. It's very simple, but if it's not taught and you don't have that in your toolbox of systems, then you won't be able to scale to another location. You won't be able to get yourself out of that. We had no real training of employees. When an employee came on, either I trained him, my brother trained him, or my mom trained him, someone from the family. I was stuck in the day-to-day minutia. I started hating working in the kitchen because it was work that I didn't love. What did I love? I loved being in front of the camera in the kitchen, cooking, teaching people, having cooking lessons, writing cookbooks, in the garden with the kids, building that brand, which coincides with the restaurant. But I didn't have systems and I didn't build the restaurant to be able to ultimately exit that, or at least be prepared to have other people take over those tasks that I didn't like, so I could ultimately do what I love to do. And it ultimately worked out for me because I got into the real estate space and I love the real estate space. But that's what I want you to do. As you're thinking about building a business, just start small. Think about yourself exiting in the next 5 to 10 years. What does that exit plan look like? And start preparing for it. Start making sure you learn the systems and the processes, and learning what a cadence of accountability is, and learning what rhythms are in your business, learning what quarterly priorities are, all of these things to be able to scale a business. When you scale a business, you're not adding on additional employees, you're adding on systems and processes within that business to eliminate certain roles and responsibilities that you have to take care of, or that an employee has to take care of, or somewhere where they can go and there's a checklist and it gets done. If you don't do that, you are going to be building yourself a job. And after 20 years, I ended up selling the restaurant. I exited after literally 23 years of being in the business. I went into the real estate full time. My brother hung on for another 4 years. And when we exited it, the problem was it was a terrible multiple because I wasn't selling a business with systems and processes. If I had that, I would have gotten more money. What I was selling Gino and my brother, our faces of the business. There was no intrinsic value built in. So I got a crappy multiple. So at the very least, think about selling and exiting the business. What does that look like? How do you set the business up? I mean, even for us, real simple. I created this business with this restaurant with so many different dishes. It was so complicated, so many different recipes going on. It was hard to scale that business. It was hard to have somebody come in and just say, hey, you're trained up in a week or two. It was so complicated the way the kitchen was set up that it was very hard to be able to scale that and even to become profitable with that model. How am I going to exit a business that has 100 different items on a menu? It's very difficult. It's a lot easier to exit a business when you have 25 or 30 different items. Take that into consideration. Think about that. And that's for us in the real estate space, in multifamily, specifically when you're buying a deal and you're looking at the real estate. Every time you buy a deal in real estate, whether you're buying a single family home, whether you're buying a self-storage, you're always looking to see what the exit is. When we buy a multifamily property, we're looking to exit that deal in a one way, shape, or form, either through a refinance to recapitalize our money to get a new loan, hopefully a higher loan, so we're able to pull out some proceeds from it, and or a sell of the property. So there are basically a couple of things that you can do to add value to the business. So you're literally buying a real estate asset with the intention to build it to ultimately exit it. And in my space, in multifamily, you're literally building value by buying the asset, by operating the asset, and ultimately by exiting the asset. You're trying to increase the net operating income. You're trying to increase value. You're trying to put in some type of management structure. You're focusing on the operations of the business. That's how you build that business, the multifamily business, to ultimately sell. You can sell a cluster of multifamily properties, or you can sell an individual asset. But that asset will be worth a lot more if you have proper property management, if you have proper asset management, if you have proper systems and processes, and if you're not the mom and pop, but you are the operator with those processes. You will maximize the value of that asset. So as you're thinking to yourself, man, business is exciting. I want to get into my business. Fall back on those three principles that I've laid out. It's all about your mindset and creating value for the marketplace. It's all about getting experience in the business that you're trying to get into. And ultimately, it's always thinking about buying that asset and building it to be able to exit it eventually. Thanks for tuning in to the How To Show this week. We all hope you had a great week, and we will see you on next week's How To. Take care, everyone.